All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are getting into a really fascinating and, I've got to say, pretty complex hypothesis that tries to connect modern physics, ancient spirituality, and the very blueprint of the human body. It's called the Philfo Particle hypothesis, and trust me, it's going to challenge you to see the universe in a completely different light.
So, to get started, let's kick things off with a question that sounds a lot like a riddle. What could a banana, your own body, and the very core of the Earth possibly have in common? Well, the answer isn't just a philosophical one. It's a real, scientifically verifiable connection. And the answer is this tiny, almost ghost-like particle, the neutrino. Yeah, it turns out that because of the natural decay of an isotope called potassium-40, all of these things, your body, the banana on your kitchen counter, and the planet's core, are constantly streaming neutrinos out into the universe. Now, standard physics just chalks this up to a simple fact of radioactive decay, nothing more. But the hypothesis we're exploring today asks a much bigger question. What if it's not a coincidence? What if this shared property is actually a clue, a single thread in a vast, hidden tapestry of reality?
So, if there is a hidden code, where do we find the key to unlock it? Well, according to the author of this theory, the key is in a system from Sikh philosophy called Ik Gurmukhi. This hypothesis reframes it as something more than a spiritual concept. It suggests it's the literal language the universe is written in, kind of like a cosmic alphabet.
So here's how it breaks down. The system starts with Ek, which is this idea of a single, unified element, one source for everything. From that one source, the model says 35 letters emerge, and each one corresponds to a fundamental element. Then you have 16 vowel symbols, and these are said to represent 16 primal spins, the basic rotational properties of particles. Put them all together, and you've got the foundational code for reality itself.
And from this cosmic language, my hypothesis introduces its main character, the particle that supposedly makes everything happen, the Philfo particle. It's also called the grace particle. Before we get into what it does, let's just look at the name for a second. Philfo is short for Phil-self-ology, which the author defines as this mix of philosophy, self, and ology, as in the science of it all. So you can see right in the name that it's intentionally trying to bridge these worlds of abstract thought and scientific study. Okay, so here's the wild part, how this particle is supposed to work. It starts in the Higgs field, the field that gives other particles their mass. But here is the really radical idea. The Philfo particle can supposedly gain and lose its mass back and forth. And the theory claims that this very process, this gaining and losing of mass, is what generates the cosmic streams of the very same neutrinos we were talking about at the beginning.
So if the Philfo particle is the brick, you might be asking, what's the builder? Well, the paper proposes a guiding force that shapes and directs these particles, and that force is called cymatics.
Now, for anyone who hasn't heard of it, cymatics is a real thing. It's basically the science of visible sound. Just imagine putting some sand on a metal plate and then vibrating it with a certain musical note. The sand will magically arrange itself into these beautiful, intricate geometric patterns. This theory basically takes that principle and blows it up to a cosmic, matter-shaping scale.
And get this, the hypothesis then draws these incredible one-to-one connections between physics and music, mapping cosmic phenomena to specific instruments from the Indian subcontinent. So, for example, the neutrino is compared to a stringed instrument called the rabab, while another theoretical particle, the axion, is likened to the tabla drums. The whole theory basically paints a picture of a cosmic orchestra, where specific vibrations are literally creating specific parts of our reality. Okay, so if sound is the force shaping reality, where do we actually see the final product? This question brings us to what is, I think, the most out there part of this entire hypothesis, the idea that the human body itself is a direct, physical map of all these cosmic principles.
It's not just a metaphor. The model proposes a direct one-to-one mapping. It starts with the head, which, hey, we already know emits neutrinos from potassium-40. The forehead is then pinpointed as the source of those axion vibrations. Our arms are said to represent something called chirality. That's a physics term for handedness, how particles can be mirror images of each other, just like our hands. And finally, our legs indicate the direction of particle spins. So in this view, our actual bodies are a living, breathing blueprint of the universe.
The theory then zooms in on one specific part of us, our hands. And they're not just for grabbing things or waving hello. In this model, our hands are described as a kind of key, a tool for accessing something way beyond our normal, everyday perception.
And what do they unlock, exactly? Well, according to the hypothesis, they give us access to an 11-dimensional reality. Now that number, 11, is actually pretty significant in some really advanced areas of theoretical physics, like M-theory, which also proposes that our universe has 11 dimensions. This hypothesis takes that idea and says this higher state of being isn't just theoretical, it's something we can actually access.
So, how do you turn the key? The research suggests it's through the simple, universal human act of joining your hands together. You know, that common gesture of prayer, or respect, or reflection. That simple action is said to open what the author calls Janus gates, which is likely a nod to the two-faced Roman god of doorways and new beginnings, and allow a person to step into this 11-dimensional reality.
Okay, so what does it all look like when you put all these pieces together? You've got the particle, you've got the sound force, and you've got the body map. Well, it all culminates in a brand new proposed model for reality itself.
All right, here's how it all comes together. First, the model introduces Janus particles, which are said to be guardians for those Philfo particles. Second, it totally reimagines our biology, proposing a form of 5D DNA made from layers of both cosmic and Earth-based neutrino matter. And finally, it claims this all operates inside something called a cosmic flip gate, that 11-dimensional reality we just talked about, which apparently shifts its properties between day and night, like someone's flipping a giant cosmic switch. To really frame this massive, unified vision, the theory goes right back to music and poetry. It points to this sacred composition, Gagan Menthal, as the ultimate expression of this cosmic harmony. And it's a piece that the Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore famously described as nothing less than the anthem of the entire universe. And so, that leaves us with the big, provocative question at the heart of this whole thing. Look, it is absolutely an unconventional view of the cosmos, no doubt about it. But it does make you wonder, what if there's a deeper, hidden code connecting physics and consciousness and spirituality, all just waiting for us to find the right way of looking at it?